Cancer research touches real people. It touches individuals. It touches their families. It touches the scientists and the doctors that take care of these folks. They say it takes a village. We, the AACR, are what we call ourselves the honest broker. We're kind of right in the middle of this big world of cancer and cancer research and oncology. And I think we're a real catalyst for making things go. Welcome to Believe in Progress, the American Association for Cancer Research Foundation podcast. Join us and be inspired by the incredible stories of those who have faced cancer with strength and resilience, and the medical professionals who are working tirelessly to find new treatments and ultimately a cure. Believe in Progress isn't just about the science of cancer. It's about the human side of this disease. Together, we can make progress in the fight against cancer and bring hope to those who need it most.
Welcome to a very special 50th episode of Believe in Progress. I'm Tony Lopes, the executive producer of Believe in Progress and the co-founder of CollegeCast. And today, I am thrilled to turn the mic around and speak with the voice behind the show, Mitch Stoller, Chief Philanthropic Officer of the AACR, and the man you've heard on the microphone for 49 straight episodes. And now for the 50th, he'll join us to talk a little bit about how the show came to be, what it means to the AACR and to cancer research in general, and hopefully to the engagement of you, the audience. So before we get into the questions that I've prepared and hopefully won't be too difficult for you, Mitch, first of all, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Tony. It's a great honor to be here today. And I want to thank both you and Michael and Heather for being such a great team and making the podcast look as good as it does.
Well, thank you. We're honored to hear you say that. Obviously, we're a small part of a much bigger mission and an important mission that is funding cancer research, which is the most important thing and really the end result that we're looking for, I think, from the show. But going back to sort of the beginning of the show, way before it even started, you were a guest on my podcast.
Yes, I was.
I went back into the archives and I looked up some dates. So first of all, you were kind enough to be on my show, which we recorded here in your office.
Right here, yeah.
In roughly November of 2019. That episode aired 11/14 of 19. That show, by the way, was called Self-Made Strategies. It's still out there somewhere. I was the host, creator of that show, and I would interview entrepreneurial thinkers.
Right.
And so you were kind enough to host me in your office and to sit down with me. That episode was called Bringing Innovation to Large Organizations, which was largely about entrepreneurial and innovative initiatives in nonprofit, nonprofit stewardship. And then you came back for a second episode 104 of Self-Made Strategies. That episode aired on December 24th of 2020. Sort of kind of mid-pandemic. Mm-hmm. And that was called Fighting Cancer with the Video Game Community.
Right.
And so just to kind of cue the audience in a little bit on what that was about, you and the AACR were promoting a project called Players versus Cancer.
Correct. The gaming has really taken off in the philanthropic sector. And we decided that we wanted to put our hat in the ring. We still have people that are actually raising money for us today, Players versus Cancer. Great program, pretty innovative, pretty new. At the time we decided to launch this, it was very new, and only a few nonprofits were actually involved in that type of activity. So I'm happy to say we still have volunteers out there that are streaming and gaming and having fun, but more importantly, raising money for very important cancer research.
Exactly. And so, okay, now that brings us kind of up to speed to Believe in Progress. So tell us a little bit about the audience, a little bit about what sparked the idea to do Believe in Progress to begin with, why the AACR wanted to do a podcast and why you championed that idea.
Well, I've been thinking about a podcast for a while, always trying to get the AACR out a little bit more to the public, to the lay audience out there, but not including the scientific community, but really trying to get the lay audience to learn more about the AACR. Because the more people learn about the AACR, the more they're inclined to invest and volunteer and get involved in our wonderful organization. And so about that time, it was COVID, right? And I was a huge Ted Lasso fan, like so many other people were. And you remember the big sign he had in his office was "Believe." And that kind of stuck in my head, and I just said, believe. How could we take believe and make it something meaningful? believe in progress. And that's what we're really about. We're funding cancer research. There is progress going on. There are answers out there. There's a lot more that has to happen. But that was the original idea behind Believe in Progress. And then trying to, build a bigger audience, cancer survivors, cancer families, everyday people, scientists. They need to become aware of the AACR and the work that we're doing, but also to hear from other inspiring individuals. Up to this point, we've had 49 unbelievable shows with the wonderful people that really kind of cover the gamut from some of the most amazing scientists in the world to some of the most amazing philanthropists out there.
Yeah. And I would say that you've had 50 amazing people on this show. So I'm saying you, not me.
Thank you, Tony. Don't start with me now.
So we get an idea of how you imagined Believe in Progress contributing to the AACR's overall mission. Do you think that the show has done that, and has the vision changed over 50 episodes?
I don't think the vision's changed all that much. I think we've fine-tuned things, and I think we've improved in how we deliver. And again, I applaud you all on how you produce the show and how it looks out there to the public. You really make it look great. I think the vision is, again, to educate people about AACR, but educate the world about inspiring people. Educate the world about that you can do wonderful things. You can do great things. To me, that's really the most important thing. In my opinion, it definitely has helped the AACR. There are people that come up to me that have never seen me before and go, you're that guy, Mitch Stoller, to do that podcast, right? What a great pleasure to meet you. Just the other day, somebody in the communications field came up to me and said, I listened to your podcast, and I thought, I learned a lot about cancer research or survivorship and about important things like that.
Amazing. That's incredible. And it's great to hear. And again, great to be a small part of that. And for the listeners, as Mitch said, we do produce this with video and audio. So you can find this podcast on YouTube, primarily if you want to watch us talking to each other, or any of the other amazing 49 episodes. But you can also catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you enjoy your podcast.
And what I'd like to say, though, is that, I think we're at episode 50 here today. There's a lot of room for improvement. We need more subscribers. We need people that, really do want to spread the word out there. And it's an important word to spread. And so we're still trying to tweak that and trying to figure out ways to make that happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now back to the show itself. The very first episode that we released, it wasn't literally the first episode that we recorded, because we recorded a bunch of them before we started distributing the show. But the first episode that we released, and the first episode on the list of the podcast, is Lauren Hart. That episode was called The Power of Hope in the Face of Adversity. What do you remember about recording that episode with Lauren Hart, and what surprised you maybe about recording with her?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was really nervous. Didn't sleep that well the night before just because I was anxious. I had never really done this before, other than being interviewed in a couple other podcasts. And Lauren was fantastic. She actually put me at ease. And then we just started getting into just a general conversation. And she's an inspiring figure, singing at the Flyers games. And I don't know, she just made me feel really at ease. My confidence grew so much after that initial interview with her. It was just a great experience for me.
And then we were off to the races.
We were off to the races.
Yeah.
Look out.
And as the show has evolved, what has surprised you maybe about the show, or what has stood out to you as turning points?
What's fantastic is how they'll talk about things that are really sensitive. They'll talk about things that have affected their lives. They will talk about things that are very personal. People feel comfortable enough to be able to do that. And I think that's really important. It's very genuine. And if that comes across on the other side, then I think we've been pretty successful at what we're trying to do.
You've had conversations with all different types of people on the show, survivors, with scientists, advocates, even investors. Are there one or two episodes, and I know it's really difficult to pick, they're all inspirational, they're all very, very good. Are there one or two episodes that you maybe stood out to you, or that you still think about, or that personally moved you?
Yes, there have been a few that have really moved me. Having Dr. Foti here, the Chief Executive Officer of the AACR, was very moving, and it was great to be able to get her to talk about the future of cancer research, talk a little bit about, her own personal journey, and I thought that was very moving to me. Howard Brown, we had 2 times. Howard recently passed away. He lost his battle with cancer, but he and I bonded, and we became friends. he had to go into hospice. That was really tough. Here's a guy really fighting, he's fighting for his life, and he's talking about, shining brightly all the time. And it really had a significant impact on me. The other show that was also very meaningful, these were my two personal friends, Steve and Dave, who I've known for over 50 some odd years. They're cancer survivors. That show meant an awful lot to me. And I remember listening to it on an airplane. I was traveling for a meeting, for an AACR meeting. I was teary-eyed. It really had a profound effect on me, talking to these really wonderful guys who have survived cancer, but are very, very personal and close friends of mine. My big brother, Paul's a cancer survivor, just doing great now. He's an anthropologist, an interesting storyteller. I loved every minute of having my brother, basically being right next to me and spending some time. And I think that was a wonderful episode. I'm hoping that my mom and dad were looking down and were very proud of their sons. Yep. Making me cry on number 50.
On your own show. On your own show. What was it maybe that either your brother or your two very close friends said to you that really had an impact on you?
Well, I think they talked about how cancer affected them and how it's really changed their lives in a positive way moving forward. And so I think about my own problems and my own trials and tribulations, and it's nothing compared to what many other people have to go through, right? I played basketball with these guys when I was 12 years old and 13 years old. Have an opportunity to talk with them about something that they've survived 50 some odd years later. Pretty impressive.
So much of Believe in Progress is about connecting the dots between research and real lives. I mean, a lot of the examples that you gave just now, and obviously we hope Howard Brown rests in peace, and we're very sorry for their loss. But he was on the show twice, and you're right. I mean, he really projected that message of shining brightly, even through the darkest of times. What moment was it when you saw maybe some of that connection come to life between research and the impact on real lives?
So if you remember, I think it was maybe the second episode we ever launched was with Trevor Maxwell from Man Up to Cancer. Trevor is a battler, and he's still battling and doing great. He found this wonderful organization. Research has kept him alive. And so I've gone on to volunteer and help his foundation. Recently, they did an executive search for an executive director, and they asked me to be on the search committee. I loved it. These are all cancer survivors that, their lives have been prolonged because of cancer research and because of great work by doctors, around the globe. Other people out there like Ricky Farley, who survived breast cancer and went on to start a wonderful foundation. Doug Ullman, who 3-time cancer survivor, and he's out there, changing the world. So many stories, Tony. Hi, everyone. This is Mitch Stoller, Chief Philanthropic Officer at the AACR and the host of Believe in Progress. I hope you're enjoying today's episode. I wanted to take a quick moment to remind you that your support is vital in our fight against cancer. As we always say at the AACR, cancer research saves lives, but we cannot do that without the generous support of people like you. If you're moved by the stories and insights shared in our podcast, please consider making a donation to AACR by visiting aacr.org. Your contributions help fund essential research and provide support to those affected by cancer. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the Believe in Progress podcast. By subscribing and sharing with your friends and family, you help us reach more people with these important conversations. Thank you for your support. Now let's get back to the episode.
What role do you think storytelling has in moving people toward supporting more cancer research? And as you said, we need more cancer research. We're nowhere near the mission's objective, which is ending cancer for all, period, right? So what role do you think storytelling and mediums like podcasting and other forms of engagement has in supporting cancer research?
So you see my shirt, it says cancer research saves lives. There's a lot of truth to that. I think storytelling plays a very important role. I think yet for the general public out there to hear stories about a 3-time cancer survivor or about, unfortunately, somebody losing their battle to cancer, public needs to hear that. Not just the public, scientists need to hear that as well, because it's critically important. It's a good way to translate the work that we're trying to do through stories, through other, through a young man that's riding across country in honor of his grandmother. Guy's given up his entire summer to raise money to helping patients deal with lung cancer. Pretty remarkable stuff. So storytelling plays a really important role.
Right, and it helps to connect that sort of, mystical aspect of what does this organization do with research and how does it actually impact? It connects those dots, right? It brings together, hey, we're not just out here in the lab. This is having a very real impact on real people on a regular basis.
Cancer research touches real people. It touches individuals. It touches their families. It touches the scientists and the doctors that take care of these folks. They say it takes a village. We, the AACR, are what we call ourselves the honest broker. We're kind of right in the middle of this big world of cancer and cancer research and oncology. And I think we're a real catalyst for making things go.
Speaking of honest broker, was there a guest that we had on the show that you were surprised by their honesty and their insight?
My boys, Steve and Dave, they were very open and honest. Even to hear Dr. Foti talk about her sister and her battle with ovarian cancer, and she's still surviving that as we speak right now. There's probably, we could find an example with almost everyone we've talked to.
That's a good point, fair point. And have the conversations that you've had on Believe in Progress maybe changed or helped evolve the way you approach your work here at the AACR in any way?
Yeah, totally continues to inspire me. I mean, I'm a pretty enthusiastic person anyway, and when I'm talking to individuals and talking to groups out there, and you meet wonderful people that have either started a foundation or raising money for research, that inspires me. I mean, that inspires me to go out and inspire my team and other folks here at the AACR and just talk about how important it is for us to invest in cancer research and be part of a broader network out there. So this podcast has changed me for the better. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from you and Michael and from Heather, and I've learned a lot from all of our guests. It's great to be able to continue to be moving forward and learning about things.
Absolutely, yeah. And same goes for us. I think Mike and I, as the executive producers, we're behind the scenes, we're behind the cameras, but we've listened to all the shows multiple times because we're here live with you when we're recording them, when we're editing those shows, and then when we're doing, quality control before we're releasing the episodes. We've learned a ton about various forms of cancer, various forms of research, and of course, we had some small idea of how important it was to really be invested in cancer research and cancer outcomes. And I think we've all sadly been touched by cancer in some way, even if just tangentially or as a caregiver or with a loved one or a friend. It's really important to just stay focused on trying to be some part of the mission, whatever that is, whether it's doing a race or listening to the podcast, subscribing, sharing an episode, going to AACR.org, hitting that donation button, even if it's $1, even if it's $10, whatever you can afford.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
One of the cool things we've done is we've gone live with a couple of things. When we were at the AACR annual meeting, that was unbelievable. I mean, that was a kind of a turning point for us, learning some new things, being at the Philadelphia Marathon and going live with people that have just, run a marathon or a half marathon and they're giving back like that. I mean, I can see us doing more live events and being more active because it was really wonderful to be able to interview scientists, but there were some really young scientists that were still either in undergraduate and moving on up the ladder. That's inspiring. We've got the next generation of cancer scientists. This is what inspires me to want us to raise more money. We need to support these people because they are going to take care of your future child and my grandchildren and their children.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking to that, what do you see as sort of the biggest challenges and maybe opportunities even, because those challenges sometimes lead to those bigger opportunities down the line in cancer research today?
A past president of the AACR said, no money, no mission. And that's our job here at the foundation, is raise as much money as we can. So if you don't have, if you're not raising enough money, that's going to get in the way of progress. And so as hard as it may be, we need to continue to push to raise more dollars for funding cancer research, and not just the AACR. All the different organizations out there really need to move forward with that. The public needs to know that, There's economic benefit by funding cancer research. There's economic benefit in your local community by doing that. And at the end of the day, if people are cured, people are getting better, that's going to be less of a drain on the insurance companies.
Absolutely.
So that's going to help our economy. And so that's why I think it's really important to be able to funding, more and more cancer research.
Absolutely. And so now looking ahead to what you were just discussing, what do you see ahead for the next 50 episodes?
I love the idea of going live. I think we want to reach out to perhaps try to maybe bring a few celebrities into this that have dealt with cancer so we can continue to bring more focus and more people can be, like it or not, be it a sports celebrity or a music celebrity or a Hollywood celebrity. Our public seems to gravitate towards that type of thing. And so I think if we can try to, attract some folks that have dealt with their own cancer, I think it could be pretty moving for us. But we're not going to leave our roots. And our roots here are clearly people that have started foundations, people have done amazing things, people that are believing in progress. I want us to have positive people and individuals that are really going to hopefully educate people out there, but motivate people as well.
Yeah, cancer touches everyone. Celebrities,
it does.
Caregivers, supporters, friends who are just trying to help other friends get through it.
And even probably interview more scientists as well, because scientists are celebrities in their own right.
Right.
And they should be getting more accolades, in my opinion. And we need to educate the public more about the great work they do and the dedication of these unbelievable scientists.
What would you want the listeners, whether they're researchers, scientists, patients, family members, to take away from these conversations that they hear on Believe in Progress?
Well, I want them to be educated about what people are going through and or what people have done to make the world a better place. If a scientist who does not necessarily interact that much with patients listen to this podcast and they hear like a very, inspiring and motivating story, maybe that's going to, take them to the next level in their own journey, in whatever they're studying or whatever they're trying to accomplish in their laboratories. Same thing for individuals. If an individual hears a scientist talk about the great work they're doing in whatever form of cancer it is, that light bulb goes off and they can go and investigate and see if it can help them out as well.
Absolutely. And it also inspires the little future researchers of tomorrow.
We here at the AACR have programs that are focused on high school and undergraduate students. We're really concerned about the next generation of cancer researchers and cancer scientists. And so our job is to educate, motivate, and fund. Amazing.
Okay, so one last message to the Believe in Progress, not the last one forever, just for this episode.
That's good.
What's your message to the Believe in Progress community as we hit this big milestone moment of 50 episodes?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. But spread the word. I think we have something good here. I think we have a really good message to send to people. It's a positive message. It's an important message. We need more subscribers. We need more people to, really tune in and get the word out. We're going to keep looking for great content. We're going to keep providing you with the best possible episodes that, you're not going to want to turn off. And so hang in there with us. We're excited about the future. And we think we have a great show here. I'm humbled to be your host, and it's a lot of fun for me. But remember, this inspires me to do better work as well.
It inspires all of us. I mean, quite frankly, Mike and I behind the scenes, we know obviously with Heather, and we've had a lot of interns at CollegeCast come through here as well, who still talk about their experiences working on this show. And we all feel like we're doing some small part of this grander mission. But I got to say, Mitch, being behind you, following you, and being a small part of this bigger vision that you have is very inspirational. So keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I plan on that. And I really, again, appreciate you guys very much. You all are like family to me, as you know. Keep up the great work yourselves, because I think it's really important what you're doing. And, even if we just impact that one person that really has helped them, kind of either get off the fence, have helped them out, then that's really good. That's really good work. So absolutely. I appreciate what you all do and appreciate everybody tuning in, but keep tuning in and keep spreading the word because we believe in progress.
Absolutely. Well, Mitch, thank you not just for this conversation, but for the 50 episodes so far. Hopefully 50 or 100 or 150 more to come. But for 50 episodes of heart, honesty and hope, including this one where you got a little emotional and where you shared a little bit of yourself. We really appreciate that. You've helped us see how cancer research isn't just about data and discoveries. It's about people, purpose, and progress. To our listeners, thank you for being a part of the Believe in Progress journey. If this show has moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of why research matters, please subscribe. We cannot tell you how important that is. Share this episode with someone who may need it, whether they're a caregiver, a family member, or a friend, or someone who is going through their own cancer journey. And consider supporting the AACR Foundation at aacr.org. Here's to the next 50 and to the progress we'll make together. Thanks again, Mitch.
Thanks, Tony. Really enjoyed it.